Yeah, it says that spirits send message to loved ones through dimes. It means that loved ones are doing the right thing or are valued.
So the creepy 10-year-old drew his own death. That's kind of sad.
Yeah, it is. It wasn't nearly as funny as I was hoping.
No, that one's kind of not funny. That one's kind of scary and sad.
Sorry.
Way to bring the show down there. If you or a loved one has recently died in a cemetery, please contact Eric and Gord via dime or email, and let us know. Tell us your dead kid cemetery stories. We want them on EricandEricGord.com, Gord is EricandGord.com. Not that we're making light of death, but
no, because I'm about to hit a fucking another hard one here. This is brutal. Listen to this shit. On the evening of March 5th, fuck it, you're going to listen to it anyway. On the evening of March 15th, 1991, 15-year-old Jessica Keene was abducted while waiting at a bus stop in Columbus, Ohio. A short time later, Keene managed to escape her abductor, fleeing to a nearby Foster Chapel Cemetery in Madison County. As she ran for her life in the dark and desolated graveyard, at times hiding behind headstones in a fruitless attempt to evade capture, Keene ran into a fence post, knocking her to the ground. Before she could find the strength to get back on her feet, she was bludgeoned to death with an old 32-kilogram tombstone that her killer had jerked from the ground.
That is the most horrifying thing I've ever heard in my life.
Wow. And for 18 years, the case was cold. In 2008, they matched DNA evidence to Marvin Lee Smith, a two-time convicted rapist.
Marvin Lee.
Who was out on bond at the time of the murder.
Marvin Lee Smith. That just sounds rapey.
Oh, yeah. Everything about that name just sounds fucking rapey. Wow.
Let me be the first to apologize to anyone out there who happens to be named Marvin Lee. You're probably fine.
Maybe not.
But that's wow. That's some ragey shit. You're enraged when you pull a 32-kilogram stone out of the ground and beat someone with it. That's not easy to do.
Oh my God! Listen to this. Oh, this is fucked up.
Oh, good. We're getting to the fucked up one because the other ones were pretty pedestrian up until now.
Yeah. This is great. One night in La Estrada, Honduras, 16-year-old Nicy Perez collapsed at her home and never regained consciousness. A day after her funeral, family members visited the pregnant teen's concrete tomb. All of a sudden, they heard banging and screams coming from within.
No way.
Her mother said, as I put my hand on her grave, I could hear noises inside. I heard banging, then I heard her voice. She was screaming for help. Family members immediately began breaking open the tomb with a sledgehammer, trying desperately to free her. Why are you in a cemetery with a sledgehammer?
Just in case this happens, apparently.
Just thought I'd ask. Well,
it's Honduras. Why? Yeah, I think everyone just walks around with sledgehammers just in case.
Yeah. Apparently, that's just how you honor the dead, I guess. By the time the coffin was extracted, the crowd which had gathered noted that the glass window on the casket was shattered. A motionless Nicy, who was still warm to the touch, had scratches on her forehead and bruises on her fingers. Despite being rushed to hospital with fainted loved ones, she was once again pronounced dead.
That's ridiculous.
They think that she suffered a severe panic attack, which temporarily stopped her heart on the night of her collapse. It's also possible that a cataplectic attack caused a loss of voluntary muscle function.
How quick did they arrange the funeral?
Well, see, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, they're literally making it sound like, oh my God, I found my daughter dead. Bury her now.
Yeah. And to answer your question, I have worked with a lot of Honduran construction workers, oddly enough, in the past. They may have been using those sledgehammers to dig the hole. That's how Hondurans do shit.
So she actually died from suffocation from lack of oxygen.
That is... how do you not just kill yourself after that? You accidentally buried your living daughter and then she died? Like, that's not a good Thanksgiving story. You don't want to tell that around the dinner table.
That's just fucking crazy. All right, the number one story here.
Oh,
wow, and the best thing is on March 15th, 1988, mourners gathered at the Milltown Cemetery. Almost Milton.
It's almost Milton.
Yep. In Belfast, Ireland, to honor 3 IRA members who had been killed days earlier by British Special Forces. As the coffins were lowered to the ground, Michael Stone, a member of the freedom fighters who had infiltrated the mourners, opened fire on the crowd.
Oh.
The whistling sound of gunshot ceased momentarily as Stone pulled the pins from his grenades, hurling them at helpless victims and attendants.
Wow.
Attempting to make a swift escape, Stone was chased by a large, seething crowd thirsty for vengeance.
You think?
Despite throwing more grenades and firing shots at pursuers, the lone loyalist was tackled and severely beaten prior to be taken into custody by the police. In all, 50 people were injured, 3 were killed.
My God. What kind of a sick bastard attacks a funeral?
Hang on. At Brady's funeral 3 days later, 2 British Army corporals who inadvertently drove into the funeral procession were pulled from their vehicle, taken to a nearby waste ground, and shot dead.
Inadvertently. 2 days later, inadvertent my ass.
Wow.
2 days later, they just coincidentally, inadvertently happened to crush the funeral of the people. Oh, Jesus.
Hang on, this gets even more fucked up. Despite receiving a number of life sentences, Stone was released in 2000 under the controversial terms of the Good Friday Agreement. In November 26, 2006, 6 years after he was released, Stone was arrested for breaking into Parliament buildings in Northern Ireland armed with an axe, knives, and explosives.
Wow.
And they gave him an additional 16 years in prison. Wow.
What was the Good Friday Agreement? We'll let any freaks fucking free?
Yeah, like what? Like I'm trying to figure out what. Like what the fuck?
What did they do to? That is one hell of an agreement. Oh, under the Good Friday Agreement, we got to let this psycho who attacked a funeral with grenades go free.
Yeah.
Would he have Omar Khadr's lawyer?
I don't.
That sounds like the Omar Khadr. Did they give him $10 million? That's what we would have done.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you're out, and you won Survivor, and you're the voice. you won the voice this year. What? That's a good deal.
So there you go. So
there you go. There's that went from a very innocent, what I thought was going to be kind of a funny question, into the most miserable episode of our show we've ever had.
You're welcome.
Really glad we brought that up. Got to start doing notes before the show again.
This has been one of the most fun episodes I've done.
Note to self: no more episodes without prepared notes. Because when you ask a stupid question, right?
No more asking Gord. Hey, Gord, what's on your mind tonight?
Yeah. Hey, Gord. Let's talk about the cemetery. I didn't want to do any of that. I'm glad you're so entertained. That really does make it.
I am so entertained by this. You know, it's funny. I was actually just having a conversation with somebody about.
Did they die in a cemetery? Is that how they?
No, they didn't. No,
okay.
No, they didn't die in a cemetery. Nobody knew died in a cemetery. But
does the person in this next story die?
No, they are still alive.
Fantastic. Okay, go ahead then.
Okay. They're. No, I'm not going to make a joke about it. It was brought up because I was talking about how my very sick sense of humor about what makes me laugh. Hence tonight's episode make me laugh. And saying how, like, you know, sure, my upbringing had a big part of this. Now, both my parents, when I first years ago brought this up to my family, saying, like, you know, they think this family business is fucking my brain. They both said, no, it's not that. It can't be that. That's no. Right. You were raised very normal and, you know, blah, blah, blah. I was raised around death.
You were?
Like, completely and totally. I was a child the first time I prepped a dead body for a fucking cemetery or for a fucking funeral.
That's gotta be impactful.
One would assume. I mean, so it truly does, like, nullify me in the sense of what, you know, like, where anybody else would hear, like, the stories that I'm telling and be like, you know, Jesus, that's really sad, that's sick. I'm laughing my ass off because I'm just directly seeing the humor in it because
sure.
I've worked in cemeteries. I know what it's like to have a monument almost fall on top of me. I've actually had one fall on me. I was smart enough to know how to maneuver it so it doesn't crush me. Like I had a friend back in grade 8 that word was getting around that he was knocking over a monument to the cemetery. And the reason I ended up finding out about it was because he had gone over and went to kick over a monument, and he ended up breaking his fucking leg from the sheer force of him kicking the monument. The monument didn't budge. So with him as a cast, I actually approached him and beat the living shit out of him and said, if you ever fucking attempt to fuck up a monument, I'm going to fuck you up again.
Yeah. 1 sec here, Gord. No sign of Glenn yet. Chris, I was here, I believe. I think he was. I can't. I'm sure I saw him. Fred, unfortunately, I haven't seen yet. I swear I saw him, but I really don't know. Fred, I haven't seen, and even Marcus, I don't know. Oh, is he? Oh, good. Excellent. All right. Thank you. Sorry, Gord.
Yeah, no worries.
My room just got decimated, and I did nothing to help. I don't know if
You'll laugh.
We got to be careful. This show is basically a diary of my life. It's going to come out in court one day.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have to testify.
And I'll be giggling when I do it, don't worry.
Oh, I'm sure you will. And we will record the whole thing and broadcast it live, ideally.
That's right.
What a horrible episode.
Oh, speak for yourself. I thought this was one of our better ones. Come on. How often is it that you get to laugh at the death of the child? Come on, that's just good writing right there.
I was going to try and say something along the lines of how being raised in that environment must have given you a healthy respect for the process of dying. And I can see clearly that I'm way off base with that kind of assumption. So I'm not.
What it has done is it's given me a healthy, in a sense, respect for the dead, but not for getting there. How you get there, that's just fun and games. But once you're in the cemetery, you're hands off. I used to do because Americans, actually, most people don't. This is like an Ontario thing. The day before Halloween in Ontario, it was for years. It was actually celebrated, called Devil's Night.
Yeah, of course.
And that was the
anyone
night
who saw the movie The Crow wanted to celebrate it.
Yeah, that was a fairly big deal, and I ended up getting hired basically from the suggestion because I started finding out that people were actually going out to the cemetery and they were fucking up the monuments and causing thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars of damage.
That was a very popular pastime in Brandon, where I was born.
Well, that really bothered me, so I started doing security, and what happened was the very first year. My dad gave me his pickup truck, and myself and my cousin, because I didn't have a license at the time, but my cousin did. He was much more responsible. So we did the responsible thing and grabbed a 12-pack of beer, and my dad gave me a 1.5 million candle watt fucking spotlight, which is crazy fucking bright.
I've got one burning on the floor right now.
There you go. And I grabbed a baseball bat and a golf club. We sat in the cemetery and just sat with the lights off and just sat and had a couple of beers and waited for kids to come through. And then
I love that you know Casey Jones on it.
Oh, absolutely. Once the kids would come through, then we would literally light them up with this fucking spotlight and race the truck up to the top speed, lock the brakes up, slide up to them, be like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" They're like, "I'm an officer, yeah, you little punk, get the fuck out of here. We're watching you. We're watching, make sure you go out of here." And we stopped everybody until they started realizing we're just a bunch of kids ourselves. Yeah,
that's when you bust out the fact that you had died wrecking tombstones years earlier.
Yeah, see, that would have been way smarter. Which, by the way, now as we talked about respecting the dead to an extent in here, I discovered in